Hi, welcome. Today we're going to be getting into hamstrings. And for our practice today, we're going to need a yoga strap. If you don't have a strap, a belt or even a hand towel would work just fine. And then a yoga blanket or a beach towel or a regular bath towel. And we'll get started laying down on our backs today. Go ahead and extend your legs long out in front of you. Let your hands come down by the sides. And take a couple of cleansing breaths. So, releasing any air that's in your lungs, and then deeply fill up your lungs to the top. So, hold it. Open mouth, exhale. We'll do 2 more rounds like that. Big, deep breaths. Hold it at the top. Open mouth, exhale. Last one. Big, deep breath. Take in one more sip. Open mouth, exhale. And then just start to notice the natural rhythm of your breath. So, where your breath lands in the body, maybe you have some nice natural belly breaths, or maybe it lands in your chest, your shoulders. Just kind of noticing where that breath lands. Maybe notice the rhythm of the breath. Notice maybe if the inhales are a little bit shorter than the exhales, or take a couple moments here to notice that pattern. And then notice the temperature of your breath. So if you're breathing through your nose or breathing through your mouth, notice the temperature of the breath. Maybe your breath even has a texture. We have a gentle practice planned for today, so we don't necessarily need to use an Ujjayi pranayama or oceanic breath. But if you have that in your practice and would like to use that, I welcome you to go ahead and set that up at this time. And the Ujjayi breath is just a slight constriction in the back of the throat. With your mouth closed, you make a soft whisper, inhaling and exhaling. Now, if you don't want to use the Ujjayi pranayama, that's perfectly fine. But I do invite you to just breathe through your nose if you can. And then set up a pattern of breathing that you can maintain during the duration of our practice together. So maybe it's a 3-count inhale and a 3-count exhale. Or maybe a 3-count inhale and a 5-count exhale. But something to help you stay tying your mind to the body and staying present. And so when you feel challenged in your practice today, you can use your breath to come back to this calm state. Or if you find the mind wandering, you can use the breath to retether your presence to your body with your breath. Now, with your legs out long in front of you, your arms down by your side, we're going to play with some activation. So, toes point toward the sky and begin to flex and activate your calves, your legs. Really fire them up and then let that go. And then fire up the legs again, fire up the glutes, maybe fire up your back, your abdomen, your core. Maybe you can even engage your chest, your pectoral muscles, and then let that go. And then one more round, engaging the legs once again, the glutes, your core, your back, your chest. Create tight fists. Activate your forearms, your biceps, your triceps, your shoulders. And then let that all go. And when you're ready, go ahead and roll over onto your side. And we're just going to pause for a moment, resting on whichever side you've chosen. And then just observing how the body feels in this position. We've been on our backs for a few moments, so notice how your back feels, maybe the back of the body, feeling some cooler temperatures, or just now the air touching the backside of your body. Go ahead and push yourself up. We'll actually come all the way up to a standing position. Coming into mountain pose. And we're going to play with that activation again. So finding your feet about hips distance apart. And let's just play around with balance a little bit. So shifting your weight from side to side. Shifting your weight forward and back. And then just finding some stillness. And then finding the three corners of your feet. So that'll be the ball point of your foot, and then your big toe mound and your pinky toe mound. So those keep us anchored and balanced. So try and find your balance in those 3 points on your feet. And then let's explore that activation. So start to fire up your calves, lift your kneecaps, turn on your quads, your hamstrings, engage your glutes here. We'll just hold that for a moment. And on your next exhale, go ahead and release that all. And then continuing up, so activating again your quads, glutes, coming up to the core, your back muscles, maybe the chest. See if you can turn on your entire torso and legs. And on your next exhale, let all that go. And then we'll get our arms engaged here. So firing up the legs, firing up the torso, creating tight fists in our hands, turning on all of the muscles in our arms. And on your next exhale, release it all. Inhale, reach your hands to the sky. Exhale, find a slight bend in the knees, hinge forward at the hips. We're going to pause in this forward fold. So keeping a bend in your knees and allow your torso to touch and rest on your thighs, so your belly to thighs here. So you might need a deep bend in the knees so you can make that torso to thigh connection. And for now, we're just going to place our hands on the mat here. Allow your shoulders to drip down your back. We don't want them hunched up near our ears. We want to create space in our neck so we're not scrunching our shoulders up. Release the crown of your head to the earth. Let your head be heavy. Notice the sensations that are happening in the backside of the body. Maybe in your calves, behind your knees, your hamstrings, probably in your back, your low back. And then we're going to clasp opposite elbows here and just kind of ragdoll. So find some shifts, swaying side to side. We're just waking up the body here. We're just waking up the muscles. We're circulating some blood into our muscles. Maybe bounce a little bit up and down. And then just find some stillness. Release the hands down to the earth. And we're going to meet in downward facing dog. And we're going to check in with our alignment in our down dog. So first checking in with our hands. So hands are placed about shoulder distance apart. Fingertips are pointing toward the top of the mat, pressing firmly into all 10 fingers and lifting out of the shoulders. Triceps are wrapped underneath the arm. Your belly button drawn up to your spine. Low ribs knitted in. Your hips are reaching to the sky. Feet are about hips distance apart here. And you can have a slight bend in your knees. Heels are reaching toward the earth, but they don't need to touch. And then maybe lifting all 10 toes and then releasing them back down. So this is a really great backside of the body stretch, really getting into the backs of the legs, the low back and the back. And from down dog, we're going to step our right foot through and place it between our hands and release the left knee to the earth and untuck your left toes. And from here, we're going to tent up on our fingertips and check in with our alignment. So hips, we want to avoid this kind of opening up to the left. So we want to make sure that our left hip point is in line with our right and both hip points are facing toward the top of the mat. And that really helps us get into this left hip flexor. And then we're also asking our hamstrings to engage and lengthen in the front leg. So we'll hold here for a few more rounds of breath. Spine is long. You're not hunched and round over. Reaching through the crown of the head to the sky. Staying connected with the rhythm of breath that you set up at the beginning of class. And on your next exhale, you slowly begin to shift your hips back, coming into this half split. You can keep your left toes untucked here, or if you want a little more stabilization, you can tuck those back toes. With your hands, you can walk back so that we can get some length in the spine. We want to avoid this rounding. So we're targeting the back of the right leg. And when we round the spine, we're actually getting more into the low back. So we want to make this more engaging for the back of the right leg, specifically in our hamstring. And then we're going to flex the right foot. So draw the toes are coming in toward your nose. Keeping a slight bend in the right knee, avoiding any type of hyperextension. We want to protect our knee joint and create some stability here. So keeping a slight bend helps protect that knee. Checking in again with our hips. So my hips like to kick out over to the right. So just making sure that both hip points are aligned and again facing toward the top of the mat. And breathe here, staying connected with that breath, sending the breath to the back side of that leg. If you're looking for a little bit more sensation, you can even scooch out that right foot and then re-engage. And if that right foot made its way out a little bit further, go ahead and bring it back. We'll inhale, bend into that right knee, plant the hands and frame them around that right foot. And then we're going to step the right foot back to meet the left, and we're going to switch sides. So stepping the left foot between your hands, coming into that low lunge on the left side. Option to release the back foot so your right toes are rested on the mat. And then checking in with those hip points. So just making sure that we're not opening up over to the right, that the right hip point is in line with the left, and they're facing toward the top of the mat. Breathing here, finding length in the spine, reaching out through the crown of the head. Breathing. You may or may not be able to hear Ollie and Bruiser over here snoring, but it might inspire a rhythm of breath. And on your next exhale, begin to shift those hips back, walking your hands back, and then flexing the left toes, keeping a slight bend in that left knee. And then checking in with those hips. So again, just making sure that the left hip isn't kicking out, and that that left hip point is in line with the right, and both are facing toward the top of the mat. Option to tuck the right toes for a little bit more stability, or to challenge balance, you can keep them untucked. Keep the spine long, avoid any rounding. Allow the shoulders to slide down your back. If you're looking for a little more sensation, you can walk that left foot out a little bit further and then reflex that foot. There are no bonus points for reaching your nose to your toes. And this doesn't have to look like anything. All of our bodies are different. So giving yourself space to be and let your body take whatever shape feels good to you. If you walked that foot out, go ahead and walk it back in. Frame your hands around your foot. Step the left foot back to meet the right. We'll tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, coming back into downward facing dog. Just checking in with that alignment one more time. Hands shoulder width apart, the index finger pointing toward the top of the mat, pressing into all 10 fingers. Lifting out of the shoulders, allowing your triceps to rotate under, your navel's drawn into the spine, your hips are reaching to the sky, feet are about hips distance apart, slight bend in the knee, or even a deep bend in the knee. Allow your heels to reach down toward the earth. And again, no bonus points if your heels touch, and honoring that each of our bodies are different and our shapes all look different. On your next exhale, step the right foot through, planting between your hands. On an inhale, rise up, stay high on the ball of the left foot. Reach your hands to the sky, and then draw your hands down to heart center. Plug the right femur bone into your hip, and then the left thigh, we're going to reach up toward the sky. So really activate that hamstring on the left side of the leg. Stacking shoulders over hips, and then sink a little bit deeper into that right knee. And then we've experimented with some activation. So let's see if we can even activate our muscles a little bit more here. So specifically in our right leg. So see if you can fire up and activate your calves, your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes. Really fire up and then let it go. We'll do that 2 more times. So firing everything up in that leg and then let it go. One last time. Fire everything up in that leg and then let it go. Take another breath and then straighten the front leg and then just walk the left foot in about another foot. So you want about maybe 3 to 4 feet between your 2 feet. And you want to make sure you're not on a tightrope. So your left foot is out and your feet are about hips distance. Okay. Straighten the right leg, keeping a slight bend in the knee. And then hip points again are in line with one another, facing toward the top of the mat. Hands to heart center. Grow long in the spine. Reach out through the crown of your head. Take an inhale. And then exhale, we're going to slowly begin to bend forward at the hips. And when you reach your first point of resistance, so feeling any type of pulling or tension or stretching, you're going to pause there. You're going to hold this. So we're both activating, and both engaging and stretching the hamstring in our right leg here and our back leg too. And once you've held here in your first point of resistance, take another inhale. And then with a long spine, again, shifting a little bit more forward. Keeping a slight bend or even a deep bend in that right knee. Just finding a place that's comfortable And there's still going to be plenty of sensation to experience in the backside of the leg with that right knee bent. Okay. Take another inhale, and then exhale. Allow belly to thigh. Again, if you need a deep bend in that knee, that's fine. Release your hands to the earth. And then we're going to step the left foot back, allow the left toes to face out toward the left side of the mat. And then you're going to spin the right foot over to the left side of the mat as well. Coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Allowing the hands to come down onto the earth in front of you. And slight bend in the knee, hips reaching to the sky. And then just enjoying this release. So these forward folds are opportunities for introspection, to look at the experiences that you're having through practice and what's happening in the body. How does your body feel? Has your mind been wandering? Has it been able to stay present and focused? And this is a great opportunity to reconnect with the breath. So if you lost that pattern of breath that you set up at the beginning of class, now's the time to reconnect with it. Maybe pull yourself in a little bit deeper. You can even walk the hands out behind you to kind of pull yourself a little deeper into the stretch. Bring your hands to your hips. Take an inhale, and then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, roll on up, allowing your head to come up last. And turn the right foot toward the top of the mat. Plant your hands around the right foot. Step that right foot back, meeting in downward facing dog. Pausing once again, reconnecting with the breath. And then just noticing maybe a difference in the two sides of your body now. So we did a lot of work in our front leg, in our right leg. So maybe that leg feels a little bit different than the left leg. Take another inhale. And then on your exhale, step through. Allow your left foot to plant between your hands. Take an inhale, stay high on the ball of the right foot, and rise up, coming into your high crescent. Bringing hands to heart center or even to your hips to kind of explore where your hips have landed when you first came into this pose. So draw your left femur bone into your hip and allow that right thigh to lift up toward the earth, stacking shoulders over hips, and then sinking a little bit deeper into that left leg. And bringing hands back to heart center if you want. Breathing here. And then experimenting with that activation again. So firing up all of the muscles that are in that leg, hold them. And on your exhale, let it go. We'll do that 2 more times on an inhale. Activate all of those muscles, your calves, your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes. And then let it go. We'll do that one last time, activating everything in the leg. And exhale. Take another inhale. Straighten the left leg. And then walk in about a foot or so with that right leg. Again, checking in, making sure there's about 3 to 4 feet of distance between your feet and that both feet are about hips distance apart. Hip points are in line with one another, facing toward the top of the mat. Hands come to heart center, grow tall in the spine. Take an inhale. And then with a long spine, hinge forward at the hips and pause at your first line of resistance. And hold here. Allowing your body to work through the sensations that you're experiencing in the back of your leg. Find a slight bend in the knee if you need a bend, or even find a deep bend. Again, there's still plenty of work, there's still plenty of engagement, there's still plenty of stretching to happen. You don't have to make yourself suffer or make this pose any more challenging or difficult than it is. If you'd like to get a little bit deeper, take an inhale, maintain length in your spine, and then exhale, folding forward. Again, playing with that bend, but just avoiding any hyperextension. Protecting that knee joint, finding balance in the knee here. Stay connected with the breath. I have my friends Ollie and Bruiser here to help me. On your next exhale, bring belly to thigh, release your hands down to the earth. And then we're going to come back into that wide-legged forward fold. So I'm going to turn around to face you, but all you have to do is spin your right foot toward the right side of the mat, and then your left toes toward the right side of the mat as well. Coming into this wide-legged forward fold again. Hands come down in front of your face, or again, you can play with and experiment with bringing them behind you to pull you deeper into this stretch. Slight bend in the knees or deep bend, honoring your body, honoring that your shape is going to look different than mine. Shoulders slide down your back, releasing the crown of the head to the earth. Reaching your hips to the sky. And breathe. Using this forward fold to reconnect with that breath. To observe the experiences and the sensations that are happening on your mat. Bring your hands to your hips. Take an inhale. And on your exhale, slowly rise up, coming up one vertebrae at a time. Head coming up last. Turn your right toes, I think your left toes, to the top of the mat. Plant your hands to frame your foot. Step back. Meet in downward facing dog. We only have 2 more poses before Shavasana. So using this last down dog, I guess 3 more poses because we have down dog and 2 more. But using this down dog to check in again with the sides of the body. So we just finished asking a lot of the left leg. And how are you feeling there? And our sides are different, so it may still feel different, even though we did equal work on both sides. I noticed that too. And take an inhale, and then exhale. You're just going to step through and come to a seat. You're going to grab your strap and your blanket, or whatever props that you are using. So for our blanket, we're going to create a little bit of a lift in our seat. So I'm going to demonstrate on the side, and then I'm going to turn and face toward you when we do the pose. So I'm going to fold up your towel, your blanket, or whatever it is that you're using, and then allow your legs to come out long in front of you. So now what this does is it creates a little bit of lift and allows the pelvis to maintain a neutral position. It becomes more difficult to find the engagement in the legs when your pelvis is already rounded here. So when we sit down like this, it becomes a little bit more challenging to lift up and out. So we're going to use our props to help us today. So finding length in the spine. I'm going to face you now. And then have your strap or hand towel or belt handy with your legs out long in front of you. You're going to draw in the right foot toward the left thigh. And it can be down by the knee or as close into the thigh as you'd like, whatever's comfortable. And then using your strap, you're going to wrap it around your foot here. And you're going to hold onto the strap with either hand. Turn your torso toward your left leg. Grow tall in your spine. Take an inhale. And then exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips, keeping our spine long. So again, what this does, kind of like what we did in our pyramid pose, is it allows us to get deeper into the back side of the leg. When we start rounding out the spine, we feel the sensation in our spine, which is great, but today we're focusing on hamstrings and the backs of our legs. So keeping a tall spine, and then using the strap, the belt, the towel to create a lock, to create resistance, to pull you in, and to allow you to keep your spine tall. And breathe here. If you have some space to go a little bit deeper, inhale, grow tall again through the spine, and then exhale, pull yourself a little bit deeper. Again, no bonus points if your nose reaches your toes or your knee, because all of our bodies are different. The shapes of our muscles, even the connective tissues that are connecting our muscles to our bones and our joints, even those are different. And those are things that we can't change. They're genetically coded. I guess maybe one day they could change with science. Take one more inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and rise up. Release your right leg out to meet the left. And then just wiggle out your legs. Draw the left foot into the thigh or next to your knee. And taking your strap again, wrapping it around your foot. Turning your torso toward your right leg. Inhale, grow tall in your spine. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips. And stopping at your first line of resistance. And then again, noticing the sensation that's happening in the back of your leg. Noticing the sensation or sensations in your body. Keeping that foot flexed, spine is long. Another inhale. If you'd like to go deeper, exhale, folding a little bit forward. Stay connected with that breath. Even though this is a passive movement, we still want to use the breath to keep our mind engaged and present with what's happening here and now. Take one more inhale, and then exhale, slowly begin to rise up. And then we're going to roll all the way onto our backs. Feet are planted out in front of us. And on an inhale, reach the right foot to the sky. And we're going to take that strap and wrap it around like the ball of the foot. This is Bruiser. Thank you, buddy. So we're going to play with that engagement again. And what this does is it allows us to release the tissue. So after the engagement, it creates more flexibility in the tissues, and you're able to get a little bit deeper into that stretch. So we're going to take our hands and clasp them around our right thigh. And then foot is flexed, toes are pointed toward the nose. And then we're going to push and really activate that right leg. So we're pressing. Those hamstrings are really working here. And then let go. And then we're going to take the strap and we're going to pull it a little bit forward, keeping a slight bend in the knee, again, avoiding hyperextension because we're protecting that joint. And just pulling that strap a little bit further, allowing the leg to hinge at that hip joint. The left foot can stay planted. If you want to experience a little bit more sensation in your hip flexor and stretch out that hip flexor, you can extend the left leg out long. Otherwise, you can keep that foot bent and planted, and it allows for some additional stabilization. We're going to do that activation 2 more times here. So release your strap, allow your heel to come up straight to the sky, flex the foot, toes pointed toward your nose, hands clasped around your thigh, and then press that leg as hard as you can, like it's going to break that clasp. Keep going, and let it go. And then pull that leg in toward your body, into your torso. Stay connected with the breath. This is our last pose. We just have one more side. And we'll do that activation one last time on this side. So flexing the foot, pointing those toes to the nose, and then pressing stern strongly into that clasped hand. Let it go. And then pulling a little bit deeper. Staying present. observing the good, the bad, and the indifferent in what you're experiencing. Your next exhale, you can release your right foot down to meet the left. Heel toe your feet out to the width of the mat and let your knees come into rest. And take notice of the two sides once again. You've done a lot of work with the right side, noticing how it feels different than the left. And bringing your feet back in, about hips distance apart. Reaching the left heel to the sky, draping that strap or whatever tool you're using. And then clasping your hands around the left thigh, and then activating, really pressing, firing up those hamstrings, pressing into the pressing the left leg into your clasped hands. Strong, really, 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 really hard. And the more you work here, the deeper the stretch you can get. Maybe. Let that go. Grab your strap. And then go ahead and draw that leg toward your torso. Slight bend in the knee. Keeping your foot active and flexed here can also increase the sensation that's happening in the back of the leg. So if you need more sensation, you can really flex and activate that foot. If you need less, you can let it go. You can find a deeper bend in the knee if you need. Exploring your edges, exploring what you need in this moment today on your mat. Okay, let's do that activation one more time. Clasping the hands around the left thigh, flexing the foot, and then pressing into your hands. Pressing, 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 pressing. It's so strong. And let it go. And grab that strap and pull it forward. And breathe. We have one last round. And then I'll leave you to enjoy a Shavasana. We've done a lot of really great work in our legs today. Releasing the strap and one last activation. So pressing that leg into your hands. Make this the strongest one yet. Let it go. And then pulling that leg in. We did really good work today. Release the strap, release your foot. Heel toe your feet out the width of the mouth once again and let your knees fall in toward one another. And observing again now your left side and how it feels and matches up to the right. Our sides are different. So keeping that in mind as you notice what's happening in the left leg and the right. And when you're ready, go ahead and walk your feet out, down, release your legs long. Allow your arms to come down to your side. Palms are facing up, the backs of your hands are resting on the earth. Lift up and let your shoulders kind of nestle in toward one another. Feet are out wide, maybe almost the width of the mat or even wider. and your fall out. And Shavasana is such an important pose. It allows us to absorb the benefits of our practice. So instead of drifting off, I invite you to stay present and scan and explore the sensations that you've created on your mat. Let go of the breaths, let the natural rhythm of your breath re-enter your body, and enjoy. Feel free to continue to take rest and additional time in Shavasana. It's the beauty of having a practice at home, so you can stay just as you are. If you're ready to come up, you can roll over to one of your sides and then press yourself up, meeting in a seat. Bring hands to heart center. It is truly my honor to share this practice with you. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Namaste.